Now say this out loud as you're driving around in your car.
Join Sports Skillet.
Just what it feels like.
So how do you like it?
So what is it? I'm curious.
You like it like this?
My God, do we love football.
Or like this?
I love the sport of baseball.
And what about this?
You can have a sports show without all the vicious talk.
Simple human decency.
Whatever it is that you like.
Yeah, I like chaos.
We've got it covered.
Right?
It's sports the way you like it.
My friends, you may not know this. It's got everything you want.
Here we go. Local and national sports talk that's fresh, in season, and FDA approved. If it's hot, you'll find it cooking with Jeff, Jay, and Kelly. They don't just stir the pot, they add more flavor than the other guys. Get ready to dig in and taste some Sports Skillet.
Tastes good.
Right now.
And welcome once again to the Sports Skillet live stream emanating from the studios here at CSB in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I am Jay, and I am flying solo today. We're hopefully going to have Mike Nebbia on, talking some Mets, talking some Giants, talking some Jets in a couple minutes. And I think I see Mike calling in now. Give me 1 second here to bring him on the air. All right, we will soon have Mike Nebbia joining us. And again, we want to encourage you to check out our show on Fox Sports Radio, 920 The Jersey, every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Great conversation, great talk on Fox Sports Radio, 920 The Jersey. And if you're not in the listening area of Fox Sports Radio, 920 The Jersey, you can always download our app and listen on the go at sportsskilletradio.com. You can also click on the Listen Live tab there as well. Always a great show on Sunday mornings. Definitely check us out before the NFL games. But now, as I said, we are going to bring in at the top of the show Mike Nebbia. And Mike, how are you doing this week?
Oh, a little surprised that I'm being brought on at the top of the show, but
of course,
I'm doing pretty well.
Awesome. So, Mike, got to talk a little Giants. They are playing the Jets this Sunday. Both teams are struggling at the moment. What are your thoughts going into this game?
As a certain YouTuber would say, it's a tank bowl.
That's what I've heard.
I gotta pick the Giants on this one.
Really? You don't think the Jets have a chance?
I gotta pick the Giants. I'm sorry to one of my female friends, Marissa Lopez, but I gotta pick the Giants. They're gonna bounce back. No black cats allowed. I blame the cat for the Monday night loss.
A lot of people are. The Giants were doing okay, and then the black cat came onto the field, and then all of a sudden they lost control of the ball game.
Hey, what's the cat?
Yeah, very well could be. There was definitely something going on with the Giants last game, I'll tell you that. I was hoping they would win. They would beat the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, that would have helped out the Philadelphia Eagles. But once that cat came onto the field, Dallas rose up to control the game, and that was it for Danny Penny and the New York Giants.
Screw that cat,
Exactly.
I think that... Isn't MetLife Stadium no pets allowed? So how did cat get into MetLife?
That should be an investigation, because you wouldn't think of a cat or cats could, get into a stadium, but there you have it. Not only did the cat get into the stadium, but made it onto the field, ran around the field for a little bit. Game was halted, and there went the Giants' momentum.
No pets allowed, no cats allowed. It should be no cats allowed, period.
I tell you, I agree with you there.
I'd be opening an investigation post-haste.
I would imagine so. I mean, not only is it a health hazard, but it cost the Giants a game. I mean, forget about it. So what do you think will be the key for the Giants winning over the Jets this weekend?
Stopping Le'Veon Bell. He's a dynamic running back. He knows how to pick apart defenses bit by bit. I think if you can stop Le'Veon Bell, you'll have a very good chance against the Jets. The Jets' defense has not been up to snuff. Their offense has been seeing ghosts, and it's like a week and a half after Halloween. Get rid of the ghosts. Get rid of the goblins. Get rid of the gremlins.
I would agree with.
It's not Halloween anymore. We're almost to Thanksgiving.
I'm telling you, a couple of weeks, and we'll be sitting down for Thanksgiving dinner, and
we'll be watching Charlie Brown for Pete's sake.
That too, absolutely.
I've never missed a Peanuts holiday special in my life. I don't intend to start with Charlie Brown Thanksgiving 2019.
I wouldn't either. I mean, it's definitely an iconic cartoon there. Couple of Giants have been ruled out for the game on Sunday. A couple of their wide receivers are not going to be playing in the game. Do you think that will affect the Giants' passing game?
Well, Evan Ingram is ruled out. That may affect them. We're going to see Golden Tate in the lineup, of course. Not so sure about Shepard.
I'm a
little iffy about Shepard.
I think he was ruled out too, no? I think he was ruled out.
I will have to double-check the injury report on Sunday, but I think he was ruled out.
So that definitely has to have an effect on the Giants' offense. You would think.
I would think, because Shepard is one of the Giants' star wide receivers outside of the magnet hand Golden Tate. I call him magnet hand. Seriously, his gloves have magnets.
Yep. Let's see. I'm trying to look here on. According to Adam Schefter, Giants officially ruled out Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard against the Jets. So both those guys are going to be out, not in the game. So Giants are taking a big hit offensively in this one, going up against the Jets.
Major hits for the Giants. They're without their star wide receiver, Sterling Shepard. They're without their top tight end, Evan Ingram. Daniel Jones is going to be without two of his big weapons. He'll have one major weapon in Golden Tate, one of the most sure-handed receivers in the game. And if he and Golden Tate can get on the same page, Jets will have a difficult time stopping the Giants' offense that has really been sputtering as of recently.
And the Giants also have a pretty good running back.
The machine, Saquon Barkley.
That is correct.
I call him Megatron 2.0.
Maybe. I don't know if he's as good as Zeke quite yet, but he's definitely up there. Like, I think those two guys are different running backs. I think with Saquon, you have to get him that he has to be schemed, and the Giants have to get him into that second level where the linebackers, the safeties, and the cornerbacks are. They have to get him kind of out in space, and then he can do a ton of damage. But running between the tackles, I'm not so sure that that's Saquon Barkley's bread and butter, that's where he does his best damage, that they have to run him towards the edges, get him out in space, and then let him do his thing. And that might be difficult against the Jets, but hopefully they can, and he can do some damage against that Jet defense.
Once Barkley gets out into space, forget it. He's gone. It's 6 points.
Just about. I mean, they have a tough...
saw it at Penn State when he was in college. Once he got out into space, it was 6 points.
Oh, yeah, you saw that. You saw that against the Cowboys. He almost had a touchdown once he got out into space, but they were able to bring him down right before the end zone. Can't guarantee it's a touchdown, but it's pretty close. Let me tell you. He is definitely that good of a running back. Now, a lot of people have been bringing up the loser of this game, whether it be the Giants or the Jets, that their head coach could be in trouble, whether it be Adam Gase or Pat Shurmur. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the loser of this game, the coach will be on the hot seat, and it's likely that it'll be Adam Gase. I do not trust Gase as a head coach. He has not performed well as a head coach, whether it be in Denver, whether it be Miami, or in New York. New York is a stickler sports city. even more stickler than Philadelphia, and that's saying something because Phillies fans are ruthless.
As are
Pointed it with my
New
mom.
York fans, let me tell you.
And I bring up the foul ball incident, the incident where my mom got nailed in the leg with a foul ball at a Thunder game, and the Reading Philly fans nearly trampled her to get to a foul ball.
Ooh, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully your mom was okay.
She did get a baseball in return, but after that, Dad renounced all ties to the Philadelphia Phillies. He converted to a Mets fan like that.
I don't know. I think they're pretty similar myself, between Philly fans and New York fans. I've always said that they're pretty similar in their passion for their teams. They're wanting to win and, wanting the best coaches and everything. And that also brings me to the announcement that came after our show last week. The Mets now have a new manager. And what do you think of the Mets' new manager?
Well, Beltran was near the top of my list as far as managers for New York Mets went. Obviously, Girardi was at the very top. He was on the other level, having that New York pedigree, to produce winners on a frequent basis with the New York Yankees, produce championship contenders. I had Perez second. I had Beltran tied with Perez. I had Bogar there. But I think Beltran could do fine as a manager. He's looking into Terry Collins as a mentor, as his bench coach, to help him minimize and avoid mistakes. Collins has been there, done that. He knows how to minimize and avoid mistakes as a manager. And with him mentoring Beltran, possibly being on his staff, I think Beltran can do well learning from Terry Collins.
I think the bench coach and the pitching coach, whoever the Mets decide to be, similar to the Phillies, are going to be key additions to Beltran's staff. But, Beltran
I'd like for them to retain Chili Davis as hitting coach because with Davis as hitting coach, the Mets saw, I think, a bit of a spike in their hitting. They leaned away from the home run just a bit, played a little bit more small ball, aside from Pete Alonso, of course.
Oh, yeah. Now, I think that, those are going to be two hires, the hitting coach and the pitching coach, two key hires for Beltran. But he instantly walks into that locker room with credibility, based on
a lot of baseball experience, with a lot of baseball IQ. He last played in, I think, 2015 with the Astros, rounding out his career there. 2017, he was a special advisor to Cashman with the Yankees. And then he comes off of that, stays in New York, manager of the Mets. I think he'll do fine. Going right from playing to advising to managing. He hasn't left the game. He can share his baseball IQ, his knowledge with the young players coming up, with McNeil, with Conforto, with Nimmo, with, of course, Pete Alonso, and with all of the other young guys coming up through the Mets farm system.
Now, are you at all concerned because, again, Beltran doesn't have any coaching experience, doesn't have any managerial experience, another first-time manager? Are you all concerned that Brodie Van Wagenen is going to exert his authority over Beltran, that's one of the key elements that Van Wagenen was looking for in a manager, is still being able to exert a certain amount of authority over the top guy in the dugout?
That's a little bit concerning for me as a Mets fan, as an avid fan of the Mets. But Beltran, again, with his experience, with his baseball knowledge, can use that knowledge as a tactician. He can manage the bullpen to the best of his ability. With the pitching coach he decides to hire, he can manage the lineup with the help of his hitting coach, analyze the matchups he's up against, analyze the pitching matchup, and put out a lineup to suit the team against a lefty suited against a righty. For a lefty, you would get a right-handed heavy lineup. For a righty, it's a lefty-hand heavy matchup. And I have faith in Beltran. I don't have a lot of faith in Brody, though.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know how Beltran is going to do as a manager myself. He does have the cachet. Players will respect him. But again, you're talking about, things.
First-time manager.
Yeah.
First-time manager, another first-time manager. And we saw how that played out with Callaway in his first year.
And with Gabe Kapler the last 2 years with the Phillies. You
go back to your Iguanas Canal analogy.
Exactly.
That analogy time and time again every week during the summer on the radio show.
Yep. And that's one of the things. You can walk in there with a certain amount of cachet, and we've seen this time and again with certain managers that, Phillies a couple of years ago had Ryan Sandberg, a Hall of Famer, as their manager, walked in there a lot of cachets, but had difficulty connecting with the players, had difficulty managing the intricacies of the game, pitching changes, lineups,
and
that type of thing.
After 1 year.
Actually, he ended up quitting in the middle of the season. It was just like, okay, I submit, you guys, I've had enough. You guys are better off without me. And he ended up quitting, I think, in June of that year. He actually, tendered his resignation and walked away. He just couldn't handle it. Now, I think Beltran will be able to connect with the players. Being a former player, he can speak their language. He can obviously connect with the Spanish-speaking players on the Mets. I don't think that will be an issue. I think if he does have any issues, I think it will be perhaps disciplining the players, perhaps the in-game decisions, when to leave a pitcher in, take him out, double switches, that type of thing. I think if he does have any issues, that'll be where it is.
Yeah, the in-game decisions, that's what I don't have faith in Beltran in. I saw an instance where Mickey Callaway pulled a pitcher in the 6th inning after just 84 pitches. Why would you do that? He had a lead. He was going strong in the 6th inning with 1 out. Why would you pull a pitcher after just 5 1/3 on 84 pitches? I don't get that decision one bit.
I don't get it either. Certainly he's not the first one to do it and may not be the last. But again, I'm with you on that one, Mike. And that's a decision where, I'm curious to see if Beltran makes the same decision as manager of the Mets. If he would go the same route or, leave him in there. I would hope that he would leave him in there and not pull him, but you never know. We don't know anything about his managerial style, how he's going to discipline the guys, that type of thing. How he's going to manage the
bullpen, how he's going to manage the rotations,
the
defense, when to call for a steal, when to call for a hit and run.
Exactly. And now the Mets are in definitely win-now mode, especially if they put out and re-sign Zach Wheeler and get
I hope they do.
Yep. And get some of these guys back healthy again. Maybe Edwin Diaz, if they can fix him and get him back on the right track. The Mets are definitely in win-now mode because some of these contracts are going to be coming up for renewal, and the Mets aren't going to re-sign these guys. They're just not, because they're not.
I don't trust the Wilpons one bit.
I don't trust them either. They're not big. What we know about,
I trust them less than Washington, D.C.
I'm with you there. But what we do know about the Wilpons is they will not spend money.
Wilponsies.
Yes. They will not spend money on. They will spend up to a certain amount, and then that's it. And so some of these contracts, the pitchers, the players, that type of thing, are going to be coming up, and they're going to be leaving the Mets. So the Mets have to win pretty much this coming season in 2020, because as these contracts come up, the Mets, aren't going to re-sign these guys. They're just not. They're going to, because these guys are going to want top dollar or as much money as they can get, and the Mets aren't going to shell out the money for him. Brody Wagner or not, his sales pitch or not, the bottom line lies with the Wilpons, and their track record says they're going to wave bye-bye to some of these guys when their contracts come up. So
track record since '08 when they got hit by Bernie Madoff. And I do have some faith in Van Wagenen as a salesman, as an agent. He knows how to talk players into signing. He knows how to get the most out of his players money-wise. But again, it's the Wilponzies. I can't trust them as far as I can throw them. I trust them less than Washington, D.C. I even trust them less than New Jersey government.
That is a pretty damning statement right there. And I agree with you there. The only thing I can trust the Wilpons with is not spending money.
It's high time for MLB to step in and take control of the Mets, because clearly the Wilpons have failed time and time again. They have failed for the last time.
Hopefully.
I find their lack of money disturbing.
And I'm sure you're not the only Mets fan there. So, just a final...
Makes me wish I could use the fourth grip against them.
And make them spend money, right? That would be awesome.
Just throw in a little Star Wars reference.
At least spend as much as the Yankees are spending, for crying out loud.
The Yankees have bottomless pits for pockets.
I mean, the Mets are in a major market. They should be able to spend as much as the Yankees. At least to put a competitive team on the field and keep it competitive for a few years. But yeah, I mean,
they're moneyballing. And like
they should.
A's in the '80s.
Oh yeah, and they shouldn't be. So
it worked with the A's, but it's not working in New York.
It never would. New York's a big market team, and they should spend like they're a big market team. That's the frustrating part about the Mets. But
and Oakland is still looking for that new ballpark.
Very true. Closing out our talk with the New York Giants, if the Giants do lose to the Jets on Sunday, do you think Shermer will be fired? Or do you think because the Giants are a team that tends not to want to fire their head coach, and in fact they'd be actually paying Pat Shermer to sit out and collect money and not do anything? I mean, they've gone through a couple of head coaches recently in the short term. They haven't really given them that much time. Do you think the Mets might be willing to ride with Shermer for another year, or do you think...
Not Mets, Giants.
Or
talking Giants here.
Talking Giants. Do you think the Giants will
have to get you back on track there.
Oh, yeah. Do you think the Giants would fire Shermer after the season if he loses to the Jets?
Well, if I were John Mara here, I would say yes. I know Dan Quinn is probably done in Atlanta. And who else is on the hot seat? I'd be looking into them as well. But
well, I can tell you
probably
Gase
done in
is.
Atlanta. I'd be looking into Dan Quinn. I would be looking into some college coaches too. But Dan Quinn would be top of my radar if Shermer gets the boot.
I think he could. I think he very well could after the season. Now I know the Giants have had injuries and that type of thing, but I think going into this season, what we wanted to, and I didn't expect the Giants to be a playoff team. this season. But I think bottom line, what everybody wanted to see out of the Giants is improvement. They wanted to know that Daniel Jones is the franchise quarterback. They wanted to see the Giants improving at different positions, wide receiver. We know what Saquon Barkley is. But, along the offensive line, defensive line, that type of thing, we wanted to see improvement out of the New York Giants. And I don't think that we've seen enough improvement from the Giants.
Pat Shermer returning.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen enough improvement, and especially if he loses to the Jets on Sunday, a Jets team that's reeling, that is kind of in turmoil, engulfed in turmoil at this point. Adam Gase is, I think, coaching for his job throughout the second part of the season. So you've got a team there in the Jets that's ready, willing, and able to be had and beaten. And I think if Shermer and Daniel Jones come up short, I think Shermer could be out of there come the end of the season. I don't see the Giants making a move in season, but I think come the end of the season, this game could be a huge reason why the Giants make a coaching change. If that's the route they go, they could point to this game, if the Giants lose it, as being one of the reasons why.
Yeah, this game could be the tipping point to what we call Black Monday, the day after the NFL season ends, the day where coaches get served their pink slips, where a few coordinators get served the pink slips, and front office staff gets served on the chopping block. Shermer's on the hot seat, no question. Dan Quinn is on the hot seat in Atlanta, no question. Adam Gase is on the hot seat, no question about that. It all comes down to who loses their games on Sunday afternoon.
I would say also, since we're talking about coaches on the hot seat, I would throw Freddie Kitchens in there, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
I did not expect the Browns to do this poorly coming into the second half of the season. He has a good team behind him. He has a good young quarterback in Baker Mayfield, an explosive wide receiver in Odell Beckham Jr., Odell's LSU teammate in Jarvis Landry. He has Nick Chubb at running back, another explosive player.
Yep.
And a revamped defense. There's no way the Browns should be doing this bad. They should be at least 500. They're not.
You would think so. I know the Browns are now going to go into the easier part of their schedule. That, the schedule for the Browns was front-loaded with a lot of tough teams, and now the Browns are going to go into their lighter part of their schedule. So maybe they
After Buffalo, they're facing a 6-2 Buffalo team, which I did not expect Buffalo to do this well. I had them at 3-5 after 8 games, finishing up at 9-7.
Yeah, Buffalo's been doing really well.
I now have Buffalo at 11-5.
I could see that. They're definitely going to be a tough out for everybody that is still remaining on their schedule coming up. We also have the Oakland Raiders kind of getting back into things a little bit with their win last night. They're now 5-4, game behind the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 6-3. John Gruden looks like he may be turning things around out there in Oakland.
I had the Raiders at 9-7 going into the season. I now have them at 11-5.
Could be.
Having them play 1 or 2 more games in Oakland before moving to Allegiant Field in Las Vegas next season. And I've seen artist renderings of that place. It looks amazing.
It does, doesn't it? But
check out the NFL draft next year. Oh my God!
And then you look at the Raiders' next two games, they got the Cincinnati Bengals and the New York Jets on tap. It's real easy to believe that, in a couple of weeks they're going to be 7-4 and really putting pressure on Kansas City. For the division, if not a wild card. And you look at it too, their competition for a wild card right now is the Indianapolis Colts, and I believe the Raiders beat the Colts earlier this season.
Raiders do have the head-to-head against Indianapolis.
Yep. So now
if it comes down to a tie, Raiders would have it.
Yep. So now that that gives the Raiders an even better shot at being a playoff team. So
Raiders playoff team? What?
Yeah.
Two things should never go together in a sentence, but here they are.
Exactly. I can't. The Raiders, year 2 year, when Gruden was hired as head coach, and he trades Khalil Mack, and starts revamping the team. All of a sudden, everybody's blasting him. John Gruden, what the heck are you doing? Are you insane? What's going on in Oakland? And now he has them primed not only to possibly win the division, but at least be a playoff team. And he has maybe the best running back in the, at least top 3 maybe running backs in the NFL. So he's got, he got all these draft picks, and it's how you use them. And so far, getting that really good running back that he has in Oakland, he's done really well with. Got to give kudos to Gruden. I mean, you can't laugh at him anymore.
No, you can't. I think he may have learned from the Philadelphia 76ers, from Hinkie, from Colangelo, on how they rebuilt that team by getting top draft picks, the quarterback in Derek Carr, top running back in the league, revamping the offense, revamping the defense. He learned from Philadelphia. I see some snippets of what the 76ers did in Oakland.
Yep, he has definitely rebuilt the team in his image. Absolutely. So
and John Gruden is one of those disciplinarian coaches. He doesn't take failure for an option. I see snippets of Tom Coughlin in John Gruden. He has the coaching experience. He knows how to put winners on the field. He is the quintessential disciplinarian coach in the vein of Coach Tom Coughlin.
I got to disagree with you there. Just because he was the one that was he is the guru out there. He and Mike Mayock.
He is the wide stage, as I categorize.
He and Mike Mayock are making a great team out there in Oakland, and definitely he has a lot of stroke within the Raiders organization. But I can't compare Gruden to Tom Coughlin. That comparison.
They're both disciplinarians. I'll give him that.
No. I don't see Gruden being the disciplinarian that Coughlin is. He is a couple of steps down from Coughlin. Coughlin is a strict disciplinarian and that type of thing. But the reason I say that, and I disagree with him, Mike, is the fact that Gruden was still advocating after the incident with Antonio Brown came up, and they signed Antonio. Number one, the whole situation with Antonio Brown saw what happened in Pittsburgh. Gruden goes out, and they bring Antonio Brown in there, knowing the baggage that he had.
That was the only time I questioned Gruden, though.
Yeah, but let me finish.
I hardly question Gruden.
But here's the thing:
the wealth of football knowledge he has. Coached. I believe he coached the Raiders in the 2003 Super Bowl appearance when they lost big time to Tampa Bay. But that was the only time I ever questioned John Gruden.
But here's the thing: when it comes to being a disciplinarian, Mike, here's why I totally and completely disagree with you: is the fact that he brought Antonio Brown onto the team, and he brought him in, knowing the baggage that he had. But here's the thing: when it comes to being a disciplinarian, Mike, here's why I totally and completely disagree with you: is the fact that he brought Antonio Brown onto the team, and and he kept
Knowing
defending.
that he's a diva, knowing that he's a problem child.
Let me finish, Mike. Let me finish. Mike. Let me finish. Let me finish my thought here. He brought Antonio Brown onto the team. Good move. He defended, and he kept defending Antonio Brown, trying to keep him on the Raiders over Mike Mayock until it got to the point where it was just such a toxic situation between Antonio Brown and Mike Mayock that he had to go. But he tried his best to keep Antonio Brown and control him and be a player's coach. Yes, he does have his rules, and I'll give him that, but he will go and try to make excuses for players, kind of like a Doug Peterson type. So, but I think he's a little bit more of a disciplinarian than Doug Peterson is, but he's not in the realm of disciplinarian like a Tom Coughlin. He will. If there's a good player on his team, he will make excuses for him. He will try to keep him on the team. He's more like a television personality that way, with his sound bites and everything. But he's not the disciplinarian that Coughlin is. He's more of a player's coach that way, in my estimation.
He tries to help players be at their best, but sometimes not even Gruden can tame the savage beast.
Very true. So, Mike, would you like to pick some games?
I've got the NFL.com ready and waiting. Hit me!
All right. So, we have the 3-4-1 Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. Who do you like in that one?
Well, it's going to be a zoo in there, let me tell you that one. Bears got to bounce back. And I think this may be their game. Trubisky, the young, talented quarterback out of North Carolina versus seasoned veteran Matt Stafford. And this is going to be one of those games where youth wins out over experience. Chicago.
All right. So now I'd like to get your opinions on this game. We have Run MCC. The Carolina Panthers visiting Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Panthers come in at 5-3. Packers come in at 7-2. Who do you like in this one, Mike?
Packers go to 8-2. I'm going Green Bay.
I think you're right on that one. Let's see. Giants and Jets. I believe you're going to be picking the Giants in this one.
And you believe correctly.
Awesome. All right. An interesting game here. We got the Arizona Cardinals going to Tampa Bay to face the Buccaneers. Cardinals come in at 3-5-1, and the Buccaneers are struggling at 2-6. Who do you like?
Buccaneers are going to be walking the plank. It's the Cardinals with Kyler Murray taking this one.
I believe you're correct. I like the Cardinals in that one as well. Interesting game here. We've got the LA Rams at 5-3 in a very tough division in the NFC West. Going to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers, who come in at 500 at 4-4. Who do you like in this one, Mike?
Quiet on the set. Los Angeles.
All right. I kind of like the Rams in this one, too. I think they will go to 6-3. Big game here for the NFC East. Eagle fans will be tuning in. Adam Thielen has been ruled out of the game. The Minnesota Vikings at 6-3 will take on the Dallas Cowboys at 5-3 at 8:20 p.m. Sunday night. Who do you like in this one?
Sound the horn. It's the Vikings.
I hope you're correct, but I have a feeling the Cowboys are going to pull this one out. I just like Dak a hair more than the Vikings quarterback in that one. I've got the Seattle Seahawks coming in at 7-2, going up against the 49ers in San Francisco. Niners are 8-0, can Seattle, their division rival, give the Niners their first loss at 8:15 Monday night?
Russell Wilson's going to be too dangerous for San Francisco to handle. Seahawks take it.
Wow, that one's going to be a Monday night game worth watching in spite of the announcing team. I'm going to pick the 49ers just because I think they're loaded on both sides of the ball. You know, they have a top five or top three offense and top five defense. So I think all told, the 49ers are going to go to 9-0, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see you being correct on that one.
Wouldn't surprise me much either.
Exactly. All right, Mike, got to get your opinions, got to get your take on the NASCAR scene. We always ask you about that every Friday on our live stream here. So give us your NASCAR update, Mike.
Well, we are in Phoenix this week, the last race of the Eliminator 8. There are still some drivers on the outside looking in. They need a win to get in to the championship for next week at Homestead Miami Speedway. And these drivers, they do well. Some of them do very well at Phoenix, Kyle Larson being one of them. Kevin Harvick got in last week with his win at Texas. Kyle Busch still in the chase, but I think it's got to be Chase. It's got to be Chase Elliott. He's done well here at Phoenix. Finished second here in the spring. Finished second last fall. Second the previous fall. This is the time. This is the year that he breaks through, gets his first win at Phoenix, puts himself through to Miami for a chance at his first title. It's going to be the year of Napa know-how. Chase Elliott.
Really? Over some of the other guys?
It'll be Chase Elliott at Phoenix. And that will go down. Hang on. NASCAR schedule.
So,
Sunday, 2:30, NBC. Green flag, 3:20 p.m.
So did last week's race, last Sunday, did that go as you thought it would?
Well, not for Chase Elliott. He crashed out on lap 10. Kyle Larson finished top 10, but it was Kevin Harvick that took it. As much as I like Harvick, I'd like to see Chase in at Homestead Miami, running for the title next Sunday.
Now, this race coming up on... Go ahead, Mike.
If not Chase, then I'd like to see Harvick or Truex take the title next Sunday.
Gotcha. Now, this track coming up that they're racing on, should fans expect a lot of crashes in this one? Or is this one a little bit easier to navigate?
Well, this track, Phoenix Raceway, just went through a multi-million-dollar renovation, a multi-million-dollar revitalization. They flip-flopped the track, so now the start-finish is where the dog leg is, and they repaved the entire track, made a brand-new paved apron where the grass once was. So you'll be seeing a lot of 3, 4, 5 wide on restarts, on the initial start. There's gonna be some exciting racing. I'm not expecting too many crashes, but I am expecting some wild racing at Phoenix. And this track, Phoenix, is gonna play host to the championship finale next season.
Gotcha. And any final words for this week?
For this week, my final word for this week is watch out. It's going to be a wild weekend in sports.
Gotcha. All right, Mike, we will talk to you again next week right here on the Sports Skillet Radio live stream. I want to wish you and your mom and dad a very happy weekend and hope you guys have a lot of fun.
Thank you very much. Next week, I'll give my take on the championship finale at Homestead Miami Speedway for NASCAR. And on the 22nd, I'll give my take on the 2020 NASCAR schedule. Should be fun.
Absolutely. We'll be looking forward to that, Mike. Have a great weekend.
You too. Later.
Later. Okay, and of course, that was Mike Nebbia, contributor here to the Sports Skillet radio show. Always great insight and great takes and passionate takes about the Giants and the Mets and the New York sporting scene. We love having Mike as a part of Sports Skillet radio. But now, as we do every week, we are going to take a trip back in time. We are going to open up the history books. My brother Jeff has a great segment. It is called This Week in Sports History. So he opens up the history books and he gives you some important events that have taken place the upcoming week. So if you have a birthday upcoming this coming week, or you an anniversary or whatever, and want to know what happened, what major sporting event happened on your birthday or anniversary, this is your chance to really hear about it. Or if you want to know what happened on a particular day in the week upcoming, this is your chance to get in on it and learn about it. It's a great segment. We love it. Jeff does a spectacular job. So without further ado, hopefully we've got queued up This Week in...
Welcome to This Week in Sports History.
Hold on 1 second. Having a little difficulty there. Here we go. Here is This Week. Hopefully we got it. This Week in Sports History.
Welcome to This Week in Sports History, sponsored by Wildflowers Restaurant. I am Jeff Sellner. Let's dive right into the history books. On November 10th in 1983, Marvelous Marvin Hagler retained the World Middleweight Boxing title with a 15-round unanimous points decision over Roberto Duran at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. This marked the first time Hagler was taken the distance as champion. Hagler after the fight: "Hey, how about giving me some credit? I beat a legend. I thought I did a good job. I have to give myself a pat on the back." On November 11th in 1946, the New York Knicks hosted their first NBA game at Madison Square Garden. A crowd of 17,205 fans at Old Madison Square Garden on 8th Avenue came to see the Knicks lose to the Chicago Stags in overtime, 78-68. The Knicks would finish the season with a 33-27 record. In the playoffs, they defeated the Cleveland Rebels, but lost to the Philadelphia Warriors, who went on to win their first BBA championship. Because of the abundance of booking events at Madison Square Garden, or doubts about whether the new league would hold up, the Knicks played only 6 games at Madison Square Garden in 1946 and 47. The remaining 24 home games were played at the 69th Regiment Armory. On November 12th in 1990, the Body Bag Game was played between the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington Redskins. After Eagles head coach Buddy Ryan threatened to beat the Redskins so badly they'll have to be carted off in body bags, the Eagles defense responded by scoring 3 touchdowns. The Eagles won the game 28-14 and knocked 9 Redskins out of the game. Following the game, the Eagles won 5 of their last 7 games, finished the season 10-6, and earned a wild card berth. In the playoffs, the Redskins got revenge, defeating the Eagles 20-6 at Veterans Stadium. The following season, Joe Gibbs, head coach of the Washington Redskins, often pointed to the body bag game as the foundation for the success of the 1991 Redskins, who went on to win Super Bowl 26. On November 13th, St. Louis pitcher Bob Gibson edged out Pete Rose to win the National League MVP award. Gibson received 14 first-place votes to Rose's 6. Gibson also won the Cy Young Award for the Cardinals. In 34 games started, Gibson pitched 28 complete games, going 22-9 with a 1.12 ERA. On November 14th in 1986, Doubleday and Company agreed to sell the New York Mets baseball club to Nelson Doubleday and Fred Wilpon. upon executives of the club for $80.75 million, nearly 4 times the publishing company's original purchase price. On November 15th in 2017, 3 UCLA men's basketball players who were entangled in an international incident in China that compelled President Trump to get involved admitted that they had shoplifted from multiple stores in China. Cody Riley, LeAngelo Ball, and Jalen Hill were suspended indefinitely from the team. All 3 players apologized and thanked Trump for helping secure their release. And on November 16th in 1969, President Richard Nixon became the first U.S. president to attend a regular season NFL game. The game was in the nation's capital, of course, as the Washington Redskins under head coach Vince Lombardi, yes, Vince Lombardi, lost to Tom Landry and the Dallas Cowboys 41-28. President Nixon sat among the fans, not in a luxury box, something that would seem impossible today. Thank you for listening to This Week in Sports History, sponsored by Wildflowers Restaurant. I am Jeff Sellner.
You're listening to the Sports Skillet Radio Show, cooking up all the hot takes. Jump in and join us at 609-919-9200. Download our app at sportsskilletradio.com. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube by searching for Sports Skillet. And remember to show us some love. Like, follow, and share.
Have you ever fantasized about playing against a football great? Do you think you have the skills to beat a Hall of Fame quarterback? Well, Sports Skillet is offering a unique opportunity for you. Go up against the legendary Joe Montana. Enter by joining our Pick'em League. Follow us on the Sports Skillet Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and we will send you the link to battle the former 49ers quarterback and receive $2,000 if you come out on top. Remember to tune into the Sports Skillet live stream every Friday afternoon and every Sunday on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. And check us out on sportsskilletradio.com. Download our app and take us on the go.
Remember the TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name? Never been there. But every time I walk into Wildflowers Restaurant on Pennington Circle, I feel at home and that I belong. Friday night, I headed over to Wildflowers, and even though it was packed, I easily found a seat at the bar and got cozy with 17 TVs. Baseball, golf, entertainment TV, you name it, including all NFL games. The bartender Dave suggested I order the Buffalo Wing Sampler, and you could tell he was a fervent fan. But reviews on Wildflowers Inn Restaurant Facebook page demanded I tried the garbage truck pizza, and Kelly had just arrived and promised to help me dig in. Then it came. Garbage truck pizza does not live up to its name because it smells amazing and it tastes even better. Freshly sliced peppers and pepperoni, garlic, mushrooms, mozzarella, and meatballs all baked on this incredibly crunchy and warm double crust to hold it all together perfectly. Heaven, especially with one of their 23 beers on tap. I'm a believer. Go to wildflowersinrestaurant.com for more info or just come in. They are conveniently located on the Pennington Circle, right near I-95. I promise you, they will welcome you warmly, feed you well, and perhaps soon even know your name.
You're listening to the Sports Skillet Radio Show, cooking up all the hot takes. Jump in and join us at 609-919-9200. Download our app at sportsskilletradio.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching for Sports Skillet. And remember to show us some love. Like, follow, and share.
And we are back here on the Sports Skillet Radio Show live stream. We do it every Friday afternoon, emanating from the studios here in Cherry Hill, New Jersey at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Great place, by the way, if you're looking to get involved in the media. Definitely check out CSB. I can't promote them enough. They are an awesome place. So if you're looking to get back into the broadcasting field, definitely check out Connecticut School of Broadcasting here in Cherry Hill. A couple of things I wanted to go over. Just got word that Pat Mahomes will be starting for the Kansas City Chiefs this Sunday. It was interesting to hear what everybody thought about that out there. Should they have held with Kansas City's bye week on the horizon? Would you have held him out this week in just letting his leg, his ankle get a little bit more time to heal, or would you have gone ahead and started him? Me personally, I look at the matchup. I think that I would have made him a backup. I don't know if I could even put him in as a backup, because if he's healthy, you start him. But, if he's going to be active on game day, you definitely start him. But I might have held, you got to look at everything in totality. If there's no further way he's going to do damage to his ankle, if he's in practice and he's not favoring it, or he's not compensating for it in some form or fashion, and he's looking like the Mahomes that we all know, then maybe you consider starting him. But what you need if you're Kansas City, you look at New England, you look at the Baltimore Ravens, you look now at the Oakland Raiders. I mean, all these teams you're going to be having to compete against for a playoff opportunity, for playoff rankings, for, do you get home field advantage? Do you not? Where are you going to be seated? You're going up against all these teams. And so every game is of importance to playoff seeding. And that can lead to whether or not you're going to be successful in the playoffs. So, again, that may lead one to want to start Mahomes this week. But depending on how he looked in practice this week, I know he's itching to get back. But as an organization, when you have a franchise player, you're not looking at just this game. You're looking at the playoffs, because if you're Andy Reid and you're Kansas City, you've gone to the playoffs time and time again. And this is one of my knocks on Andy Reid, is that he's not a very good playoff coach. He can get you to a certain distance, and then that's as far as he's going to go. And if you're Andy Reid and you're Kansas City, you've built a team in such a way that you have a lot of speedsters on your offense, at the various positions. So you don't want like a game manager in there, a dink and dunk guy. You want a guy with a strong. Yes, Andy Reid can devise a game plan that will work with that type of quarterback, but the offense, the way he's crafted it with the players on it, yes, they're crafted to just speed, get down the field, throw the ball long, challenge the safeties and the corners, that type of thing. I just question whether or not Mahomes should play on Sunday. I mean, you should, regardless of the quarterback, Andy Reid should be able to devise a game plan that will win on Sunday. We know that. I just don't know whether it would be worthwhile to play Pat Mahomes on Sunday. He should get a win, and I might hold him out another. He should be able to beat the Titans. The Titans come in at 4-5. I think even with the backup quarterback, the Chiefs should be able to win that game against the Titans. So I might hold him out another week just to give the ankle a little bit more time to heal. I know there was no ligament damage, but I might hold him out another week just to give it a further time to heal, a little bit more time for Pat Mahomes to get a little bit more anxious, to get, a little bit more hungrier to get back on the field. And then, maybe play him after the bye week. The other thing that happened this week is Cam Newton is done for the season, and we wonder if it's time for the Carolina Panthers to look for a new quarterback. Has Cam Newton played his last game for the Carolina Panthers? You wonder if that is the case because he's on IR. He's not going to play again this year. Carolina doesn't look like they are going to make the playoffs. Right now, Carolina comes into this week at 5-3. Yes, they are in the playoff hunt, but you look at some of the other teams, the Seahawks, the Rams, that are also up there. Are the Panthers in the playoff hunt? Yes. You also got the Packers and the Vikings in there as well. I just don't know if the Carolina Panthers are truly a team that will remain in the playoff hunt till the very end. So you got to wonder, is this it for Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers? If I was them, I would seriously consider looking at it. Now, the one thing about the Panthers is with their record right now being at 5-3, it doesn't look like they are going to be in position to draft one of these quarterbacks that are going to be coming out. So then you would have to look at either expending a lot of draft capital to move up, or you would have to trade for a quarterback, maybe a Josh Rosen. You put Josh Rosen, if Carolina is able to, again, have a very good offensive line, you put Josh Rosen with McCaffrey as his running back, maybe upgraded wide receiver a little bit, we already know they have a very good defensive coordinator if you give him the weapons to work with. So, maybe you go look at trading for a Josh Rosen, because here's the thing with Josh Rosen. People may bang on him, but you look at what he's had to deal with in his career. He came into an absolutely god-awful team in the Arizona Cardinals last season. He wasn't put in a position to succeed at all, wasn't getting the coaching that he needed at the NFL level. So I don't see how you could expect him or any other rookie quarterback to succeed in that situation. Then he gets traded to a team that is absolutely tanking in the Miami Dolphins this year. How can you expect him to do well? And what about the coaching that he's receiving, this year on Miami? He was a guy who was considered one of the better quarterbacks coming out in his draft. I just don't think that he's gotten the coaching being put in the best position to succeed on any of the teams that he's gone to. So I think there's a lot of potential there in Josh Rosen that is yet to be unlocked. So if he's put with the right coach, with the right offensive coordinator, with the right offensive talent around him, Josh Rosen could be one of those guys that people right now may be overlooking a little bit, and all of a sudden starts coming on because, oh, wow, he's got talent around him. He's got a running back. He's got wide receivers. He's got good coaching. He could be one of those undervalued quarterbacks that on the right team with the right coaching and the right talent could be a late bloomer, if you want to put it that way. So maybe... and he's a humble guy or whatever. He's not as flashy as Cam Newton. He's not going to be coming out dressed in all these wild costumes. He doesn't have the mileage on his body that Cam Newton does. So yeah, if I was the Carolina Panthers, I don't know if you have the ability to change and go to another quarterback. I was seriously looking into it because Cam Newton's body is definitely banged up. I think he's more into self-promotion at this point than he is into wins, and you've seen him over the past few years struggle to remain on the field. So yes, if I was the Carolina Panthers, I would seriously look into getting rid of Cam Newton and moving on to another quarterback in the offseason. Again, if you can do it, that would be what I would do. But if you can't, then maybe you do have to stick with Cam Newton another season. But, I would do that. Talk to, again, Mike Nebbia about the quarterback, about the coaching situation and quarterback situation in New York City between the Jets and the Giants. I think the loser of this game on Sunday, their coach is pretty much gone. Get rid of him. Goodbye. I like Shermer a little bit more than I do Adam Gase, but not by a whole lot. I think Shermer is a decent offensive coordinator, maybe a decent head coach, but not anything real special. I think he's proven that. Certainly he's been hit with a lot of injuries this year with the New York Giants as they are transitioning to a new quarterback, and that can be challenging for a head coach. The Giants are one team that does not like dismissing the head coaches, and they've gone through a few head coaches recently, so they might want to stick with Shermer another season just because they don't want to give the impression that they are not a stable franchise, something that they strive to be. Like they are one of those franchises like Pittsburgh, kind of like Philadelphia as well, that don't like switching head coaches. They do not like being on the coaching carousel. They like to make a decision at head coach and ride them as long as they can, even if they have a down season or two. But I think the loser of this game, especially if they look bad, you've got to get rid of your head coach, especially Adam Gase. And I think to remember, too, with the New York Jets is that they brought in former Eagles personnel guy Joe Douglas after they had signed Adam Gase to the contract. So Joe Douglas and Adam Gase are not married to each other. Adam Gase is not Joe Douglas's guy. A lot of times when you're GM and you're brought in, you like to make your own decision as a GM. So Adam Gase is not Joe Douglas's guy. So I could see the way this season is progressing for the New York Jets. And that's the other thing. Similar to the New York Giants, I expected the New York Jets to maybe you don't get into the playoffs, but I expected the New York Jets with Le'Veon Bell, with Robbie Anderson at wide receiver, with their franchise quarterback going into his second year, with this, as we were led to believe with the New York Jets, offensive guru Adam Gase as their head coach. And Adam Gase kind of filling out his coaching staff. Now, with a good what should have been a good defensive coordinator. With some of these pieces around there, I expected the New York Jets to do one hell of a lot better than what they are doing. I expected the New York Jets to compete for a playoff spot, wild card. Maybe not the division, but at least a wild card. Being the wild card hunter all season. Give the Jet fans something to root for. And Adam Gase has been embarrassingly falling short of that goal. Now, you can attribute injuries, whatever you want to do, but who's actually progressed this season under Adam Gase? Especially he's the offensive guru. You got to mention, I can't stress that enough. That's what he hangs his hat on, being this offensive genius, that has been tabbed by some head coaches around the league. But you look at what he did with Miami. Where was Miami's improvement under Adam Gase, right? So you figure, okay, if you're the Jets, and the Jets fans were led to believe, okay, he didn't have the right personnel, the right ownership, whatever down there. Well, this ownership went out, got him one of the better running back, what should have been one of the better running backs in the NFL, in Le'Veon Bell, the top running back that was on the market, in Le'Veon Bell, and he just hasn't been able to put together a good game plan. He hasn't improved this team enough. I mean, this was an offensive guru. I would cut ties. I know you're paying him. I know you're going to be paying, if that were the case, you'd be paying 3 head coaches, but at the time. But if I'm Joe Douglas, I look at this season and I've got to sanitize the team. I've got to go in and look at everything and just bleach everything, sanitize everything, bring in my guy, a guy that I have faith in, a guy that I'm going to put all my heart and soul in getting him players because, quite frankly, Adam Gase is not working out for the Jets. He's not improving guys. At this stage, I don't know if, anybody in the locker room can have full confidence in Adam Gase because of the last time Adam Gase had any success, he had Peyton Manning as his quarterback. How is he developing the Jets quarterback? He put together such a good offensive game plan that his young franchise quarterback was seeing ghosts. Devise. You're supposed to be this offensive guru. Devise a good game plan. Do something with this team offense that will get the ball out faster or hand the ball off or block somebody or what. I mean, I know maybe the offensive line isn't the best, but if you're this offensive guru that you're supposed to be, you should be able to devise something that, will at least make the team competitive in these games and allow the team to hold on and pull them out, Unbelievable with Adam Gase and the New York Jets. If you're a Jets fan, would you like the Jets or the Giants to look into possibly drafting a quarterback coming up? Because this could be an elite quarterback class coming out. You're going to have some very good college quarterbacks. And, here's the thing. You look at the Arizona Cardinals, right, with Josh Rosen. They went out and they said, okay, we're going to go out and we have the ability to go out and sign one of the best college coaches that are in there. He's willing to come to our team. He's willing to sign with us. We have the top pick in the draft, so we can reunite him with the quarterback that he's wanted. Since he tried to recruit, that he was very high on. And after 1 year of Josh Rosen, the Arizona Cardinals pivoted. They said, we are going to go out and we are going to pivot and we're going to get rid of our head coach and quarterback, and we're going to pivot to a new quarterback head coach combination that will make us more successful. And after one season, the Arizona Cardinals pivoted, and I got to say, I believe they did the right thing for their franchise, and I think he has the Arizona Cardinals headed in the right direction. Yes, they are 3-5, 3-5-1, but you know what? They've lost to in their 5 losses, they've lost to some very talented, some very good teams. And, Kingsbury, this is his first year as a head coach, and he's keeping his team competitive. And he is also in a very tough division with the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers. And I think they've done well. And, so I wonder if you're the New York Jets or the New York Giants, the rest of the year you evaluate your quarterback there. And maybe if you have a high enough pick, maybe you pivot. And you go out and you grab one of these quarterbacks from the draft. And at the very least, you have them compete with the quarterback is already on your roster. Or maybe you trade that quarterback for more draft capital or draft capital and a player that you may need at a position of need. Defensive lineman, offensive lineman, maybe you trade that quarterback. You wonder some of these other teams that are struggling. And here's the other thing, too. We mentioned the Oakland Raiders a little while ago. And the thing with the Oakland Raiders, got to give a whole bunch of credit now to John Gruden. He looks more and more like he was a genius in getting rid of some of the players on his team that he did, trading them for draft picks. He's made good work of them so far. Has the Raiders in playoff contention. Looks like they may very well be a playoff team. And now he gets another draft pick in the upcoming draft from the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears are 3-5 right now, and yes, they have a very strong defense, but their offense doesn't look too good with Mitch Trubisky. I mean, I'm waiting for them to go to Chase Daniel any time now for maybe the rest of the season. I know that they have a lot of draft capital in Trubisky, but he's definitely not getting the job done. And maybe you take a look at Chase Daniel the rest of the season, and maybe, you move on from Trubisky. But the problem with that is, oh boy, you traded your draft pick to who? John Gruden. John Gruden now may get a top 10 draft pick this season with the improvements that he already has with the Raiders. Now all of a sudden you get this other draft pick from the Bears coming in, could very well be a top 10, and maybe you go for you already got one of the best tight ends in the NFL. You already got one of the best running backs in the NFL. You've got a very good quarterback, as he's been showing. So now maybe you use that top 10 pick to improve your wide receiver, improve your offensive line, improve your defense. Now all of a sudden you're the Raiders, and you're looking pretty good. Top 10 draft pick again when you solved your quarterback, running back, and tight end position. Maybe you strengthen your offensive line, defensive line. You can never have enough pass rushers. Cornerback position, maybe there's a top corner, or you trade. I mean, these guys, Mayock and Gruden have the Raiders, I think, very much on the uptick as they prepare to move to Vegas. Very interesting situation going on in Vegas. And if you're a Raiders fan, you got to be very happy the way your Raiders are going. Eagles have a bye week this week, so it's time for them to relax, recoup, and revamp, and come back strong a week from Sunday against the New England Patriots. That's going to be a good measuring stick game, I think, for both teams, because I maintain that while the Patriots have a very good defense, their offense has been not as great. They do not have the playmakers on their offense that they've had in prior years. You can kind of get to Brady. So if the Eagles can figure out a way to score on the Patriots a week from Sunday, I think they can make the game very competitive. A lot of people are saying the Eagles are going to lose these next two games, Patriots and Seahawks. I don't see it that way. I think the Eagles will be very competitive against both teams, and I think they could, at the very worst, split them. Against both teams. They brought back Jordan Matthews. I think that will give the offense a boost. Jordan Matthews is a guy I think Carson Wentz is comfortable throwing to. I think Jordan Matthews has a good rapport with Carson, along with Zach Ertz, so that gives Carson a little more of a safety valve to go to. I think some of these guys that people are coming down on, like JJ Arcega-Whiteside. I think it's a little bit too, too early to kind of come down on JJ. He did look good in the spring and summer. He played early in the season, didn't do much. Coaches kind of quit using him a lot. And that can play havoc with a wide receiver's confidence and ability to get out there. Because the only way to get better is to play. You can do the mental reps, you can have practice, you can go through practice, but the only way to really sharpen your skills, iron sharpens iron, and the only way to really get better is to be out on the field and that type of thing. So I think it's too early to really bang on Jay Jaw all that much. When he can't get on the field and he can't play that often, it's tough to really. Now, maybe he's not a good wide receiver, but I'd like to see him play more now. I'd like to see Carson Wentz look for him down the field. I'd like to see him be involved more with the game planning, because he was good in college. So I think the coaches may be stubborn. I don't know why. I think we saw this, last year with Golden Tate. Sometime I think maybe the offensive coordinator may be stubborn for whatever reason. Maybe seeing something. Maybe it's body language. I don't know. But let's get J-Jaw back into the game plan, and let's get J-Jaw more reps, more snaps, and let's see what he can do with a little more snaps in the game, and for Carson to look for him a little bit more often and target him. And let's see what he can do if he's given a few more snaps. But I do think the acquisition of Jordan Matthews is a good thing for the Philadelphia Eagles. It'll give Carson Wentz another weapon, and I think he should be, I think he probably will be involved in the offensive game plan against the New England Patriots. Another news of note came over. The Phillies have received permission from the Washington Nationals to interview Joe Dillon for their vacant hitting coach job. Dillon has served as the Nationals hitting coach under Kevin Long for the last 2 seasons. Long had previously been New York's hitting coach under Joe Girardi, so there is that familiarity. Joe, of course, Girardi was hired by the Phillies to be their manager. The Phillies hitting coach has been in flux, obviously, for the past 2 months. The Phillies are looking to fill the position that was held by John Millay, who came aboard under Gabe Kapler before the 2018 season. He was fired in July and replaced by Charlie Manuel. Obviously, Charlie is going back up into the front office to serve as a special advisor. So, sources have said Dillon will interview with the Phillies soon. Dillon obviously has been busy with the Washington Nationals and their parade and everything going on with their playoff run. Some background on Dillon: he's 44 years old, so kind of a young guy. He played in the majors with the Marlins, Browns, and Rays. He's gained recognition around Major League Baseball for, and we've heard this before, marrying new age science, analytics with old school principles in coaching hitters. Again, it's all how you approach the players, how you're able to communicate with them, how you're able to get across what you want them to do, and the objective from the manager, which in this case will be Girardi. So again, it's communicating what Girardi wants and what you want to get out of the hitters, being able to communicate that effectively. Not necessarily being tied to old school or analytics, being able to marry the two together, right? Marry the two together to get the best possible results out of your position players, right? Long, in fact, has called Dillon the best assistant hitting coach in baseball. So again, you're getting some good praise there for someone who's worked alongside him. Anyone of that distinction coming off the World Series title would seem to be in line for an advancement in the game. So already he's getting praised by his boss. Could come with the Phillies. Another coaching note: Juan Castro will take over the team's infield coach. Castro is a former utility infielder with the Phillies and has worked in player development for the club. He will replace Bobby Dickerson, who has now moved on to become San Diego's bench coach. Of course, he has ties to the San Diego Padres shortstop / third baseman over there. So again, and so far, Dillon is the only one that has been named as being in line for being the Phillies hitting coach. Nobody else that we know of has been named yet. So we'll have to stay tuned and see how that search goes along, if there's any other candidates, or if the Phillies have just kind of, like they did with the managerial search, just kind of zeroed in on one or two or three guys, and that's going to be it. And we want this guy, and that's who the Phillies are going to go hard after. But apparently, he's a pretty good hitting coach. If you can marry the two, similar to Joe Girardi, if you can marry analytics and old school thinking, and not being tied, one way or the other, not being married to one or the other, but being able to blend the two so that, hey, if you look at a Cesar Hernandez, you're not having him hit fly balls all the time. You're having him hit more line drives because Cesar Hernandez has to use his legs, is more of a speed guy, is not a home run hitter, because some guys are just not built that way to be home run hitters. And you don't want guys like Cesar Hernandez hitting fly balls because you're not taking advantage of his ability. You're, in fact, killing it. Scott Kingery, kind of the same way. Can Scott Kingery hit home runs? Yes, but I view Scott Kingery, he's not called Scotty Jetpacks for nothing. He's a speed guy. Can he hit home runs? Yeah, he can probably hit, 20 home runs a season or whatever, but his job is to get on base, use his legs, steal bases, run around, hit line drives, hit the ball in the gaps, use your base, use your legs, not hit fly balls all the time. Hit the ball in the gaps, line drives, that type of thing. Not look for home runs. That's what he's supposed to do. And if you're a hitting coach, that's what you want to teach him. Take advantage of his God-given abilities. Don't try to make him into something that he's not. And if that's the way that Dylan is going to be, then more power to the Phillies for going out and getting a top-notch hitting coach. So again, that's what we got there. We also, like I said, got some good games on this week. Again, are people going to watch the Giants and the Jets? Maybe for the curiosity factor to see how well they do. I think the big game people are going to be tuning into Sunday night, Vikings at the Cowboys. I hate to say I'm hoping I'm totally wrong. I'm hoping, and I'm going to be rooting hard for the Vikings, but, I got to think that when it comes right down to it, I think the Cowboys are probably going to do just enough to pull this game out and defeat the Vikings on Sunday Night Football. It's who you trust in a big moment. Do you trust the Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott, or do you trust the Vikings quarterback more in a big moment? Needing a score late in the game. I got to say that I trust the Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott, a little bit more, and I think the Cowboys are going to wind up pulling it out. Outside of that, Raiders should improve and put more heat on the other teams in the wild card hunt and do some damage there. I know we always talk about pro wrestling here on the live stream on Friday afternoons, but I'm going to give the pro wrestling a little bit of a break. Again, I'll tweet some stuff out and talk a little bit more about pro wrestling, maybe on a special edition of the live stream on Sunday, or else you can catch it on our social media account, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Again, I want to encourage you guys to subscribe so you don't miss any portion of our YouTube live stream every Friday afternoon. We talk about anything and everything. Like you said, we talked a little NASCAR with Mike Nebbia. We talk baseball, football. We'll talk a little bit more basketball and hockey as we go along here, as those seasons heat up a little bit more. Of course, the Sixers have Ben Simmons out and not playing right now with the shoulder sprain, so we'll see how he heals up from that. So that's something to pay attention to going forward if you're a Sixers fan. And again, keep following, liking, subscribing. We love every last one of you. Ask us questions on our YouTube live stream every Friday afternoon. We'll answer them the best way we can. We'll bring on some more great guests, and stay tuned because we got some big things coming up Thanks, everybody, for tuning in this week on the live stream. Stay tuned. We got some great things coming up, and we will see you back here next week on the Sports Skillet live stream. Have a great weekend. And remember, 11 a.m. Eastern, Sunday morning, download our app at sportsskilletradio.com. Click on Listen Live or tune in to Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. We're going to have a great show lined up for you, and we will see you back here again next Friday afternoon on the YouTube live stream.
Now say this out loud as you're driving around in your car.
Join Sports Skillet.
Just what it feels like.
So how do you like it?
So what is it? I'm curious.
You like it like this?
My God, do we love football.
Or like this?
I love the sport of baseball.
And what about this?
You can have a sports show without all the vicious talk.
Simple human decency.
Whatever it is that you like.
Yeah, I like chaos.
We've got it covered.
Right?
It's sports the way you like it.
My friends, you may not know this. It's got everything you want.
Here we go. Local and national sports talk that's fresh, in season, and FDA approved. If it's hot, you'll find it cooking with Jeff, Jay, and Kelly. They don't just stir the pot, they add more flavor than the other guys. Get ready to dig in and taste some Sports Skillet.
Tastes good.